Who is your #1 striker in the world today?
Right now, the best striker in the world, striker, in it, it has to be Luis Suarez.
Yeah.
He has everything. He's in your face, he's arrogant in a good way. He can score goals, he can volley.
You see him play on a football pitch, it looks like his life depends upon it. I have to say, you match that with talent that he has and you've got an incredible player.
From getting ran over in the streets of Uruguay to being banned from ever playing football, ultimately playing at the very top with some of the best players in the world, winning trophies like the Champions League, La Liga, Copa America and multiple golden boots. Fighting, cheating, racism, partying, violence. This is the controversial story of Luis Suarez. Now, Suarez was born in the 24th of January 1987 in the Cerro neighborhood in Salto, Uruguay. His parents, Sandra and Rodolfo Suarez, were a cleaner and former soldier and had 7 children between them, all being boys. Football ran in his family from very early on, with his father, Rodolfo, being a former player for Deportivo Artigas, and his eldest brother, Paulo, 7 years older than him, would go on to have a long career. Unlike any other player raised in Uruguay, Suarez was brought up with the fact that football was everything. As such, he first started to play with his friends and other local kids when he was just 5 and 6 years old for his local team, Deportivo Artigas. It wasn't long after this that his father picked up a new job in the Uruguayan capital, Montevideo. This meant a complete relocation for the family. However, the 7-year-old Suarez at the time wasn't so keen on the move and so opted to stay with his grandma. Unfortunately, this arrangement didn't last long, and after a month, Suarez rejoined his family. He found it quite difficult to adapt to the new city at first, coming from a very poor background and a small town. And while dealing with his adaptations to his city life, Suarez had his home life disrupted with the divorce of his parents. He played with Uretra during these trying years and was forced to work to help support his family. And between work, parties and falling in with a bad crowd, football would take a backseat for Suarez. And to make it all worse, around this time, a car ran over his foot, breaking the 5th metatarsal, making this just a whole lot worse. Eventually, at the age of 14, he would go to catch the eye of the national scout, Wilson Perez, who brought him the idea of building a professional career through football through the National Academy. Unfortunately, the prospect of building an illustrious career in football wasn't enough for the distracted and rebellious Suarez. Instead of taking the opportunity with both hands, Suarez was still as reluctant to train as he had been with Ureta and continued to party and get drunk continuously. This time his actions would have consequences. His turbulent time at Nacional is best shown by his contrast between the high of meeting his future wife, Sofia Balbi, and the low of being sent off for headbutting a referee. This led to a string of behavioural infringements and almost led Suarez to being released from the 7th team of Nacional. Fortunately, with Sofia's guidance and effort, along with a helping hand from Perez to both Suarez and the club, the hunger and desire that he's known for shone through. Suarez mainly notes it down to the stark realization that football could really help change his family's lives. And so with this new determination, Suarez steadily rose through the ranks and in May 2005 made his first team debut for the Nacional first team. From there they would go on to win the league, and the 18-year-old at the time managing a respectable 10 goals in 27 games. And during one of the league games, some Dutch scouts had come to watch, scouting different Uruguayan talent, with Suarez not even being on the list. However, during that game, Suarez won and converted a penalty, as well as scoring an outrageous goal. The scouts had seen enough, and after only seeing one game with Suarez, they were sold on the striker. Nacional were paid 800,000 euros for his services, and Suarez became a Groningen player. Groningen was playing in the Dutch Eredivisie at the time against teams like Ajax and PSV, meaning there was a lot of eyes on Suarez and a chance for him to impress. It wasn't easy for Suarez. He was only 19 with neither English or Dutch as a language. It caused Suarez to struggle for the first few months in Groningen, and so he played with the second team to help him adapt. Luckily, there was another Uruguayan player, Bruno Silva, who helped him settle. He earned the admiration from fellow teammates with his efforts and hard work to learn Dutch, and eventually he got his chance in the first team. As always, where there were goals, there was controversy, and disciplinary issues with Suarez was a problem. In a 5-game stretch in January 2007, 4 goals, 3 yellow cards and a red card. He finished the season with only 10 goals in 29 games, as well as scoring in his European debut against Serbian club Partizan. And as the season came to an end, Suarez went to the Royal Dutch Football Association after a €3.5 million move to Ajax was rejected. The committee rejected the appeal as well, but on the same day, Ajax had a second bid of €7.5 million accepted. Suarez joined Ajax, a team that had the likes of Vertonghen, Vermaelen, Edgar Davids and Jaap Stam. Even though he didn't win anything in his first season, he scored 22 goals in 42 appearances. And in the 08-09 season, we saw the same from Suarez, with a suspension following an altercation with a teammate and picking up 7 yellow cards and a red card. This, however, didn't stop his scoring tally with 22 goals in that season and also winning Ajax Player of the Year. And in the 2009-10 season, Suarez would prove he was a force to be reckoned with. After being named captain at the start of the season, he would go on to score 49 goals in all competitions, with scoring 2 hat-tricks, 3 games where he scored 4 goals and a game where he scored 6. His league tally read 35 goals in 33 games, and he bagged both Ajax and Dutch Player of the Year. Now, as we were getting closer to the 2010 World Cup, Suarez was selected to play for Uruguay, and they went all the way to the quarterfinals where they faced Ghana. The game finished 1-1, and in the last minute of extra time, one of the most controversial moments in the World Cup came around, where we see Suarez handling the ball off the line and getting sent off. Ghana had the chance to put away a penalty, but they went ahead and hit the post, and the game finished 1-1 and it went to penalties. And for Suarez, he was seen on the side as Ghana missed the penalty, celebrating as if he won the whole tournament. Uruguay went ahead and won the penalty shootout, with Suarez being branded as the biggest villain in football. And in the 2010-11 season, he would continue with his form and joining the Ajax 100 club with the likes of Cruyff, Van Basten and Bergkamp. And in his final days with Ajax, he was charged with his first instance of biting for an assault on Otman Bakau. He received a 7-game ban and he wouldn't play for Ajax again. Before we go any further, I'm spending a lot of time on these videos, and if you're enjoying them, it would mean the world if you left a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of 2022, and generally that would be the best New Year gift. In the January transfer window in 2011, Liverpool placed a bid for £22.8 million for Suarez. Ajax accepted and Suarez became Liverpool's most expensive player. However, the fans weren't happy as they spent a lot of money on a striker that wasn't Premier League proven. With that being said though, Suarez was one of the top performers in that Liverpool team, helping them to go from 12th to 6th, scoring 4 goals in 13 in the process, including a debut goal in front of the Kop against Stoke. From there, he went on to win the League Cup and the Player of the Tournament in Copa America with Uruguay. Now, even though he was good at scoring goals, his discipline was never good. In October 2011, Suarez was charged with racially abusing Patrice Evra after a 1-1 draw with Manchester United. Suarez to this day claims innocence, yet in the next meeting, he caused more controversy by refusing to shake his hand. From there was more goals and controversies as he became only the 3rd Liverpool player to score 20 plus goals in a Premier League season after Fowler and Torres, but the controversies were just overshadowing his success. On the 21st of April 2013, Liverpool were losing to Chelsea 2-1 and Suarez beat Branislav Ivanovic. Having gone unnoticed by the officials, no action was taken and Suarez would go on to score an equaliser in injury time. The buy prompted UK Prime Minister David Cameron to call on the FA to take a hard line with Suarez, and the FA charged him with violent conduct. He was fined for an undisclosed sum by his club and faced a 10-game ban from any football. The unwanted negative attention that Suarez was receiving from the English media led him seeking a move away from Liverpool in order to protect himself and his family. And yes, it got that bad. Arsenal started off the bidding war with a €40 million bid, which was later rejected, and owner John Henry came out and said that Suarez would not be sold. There wasn't any additional bids at the time, and as the season started and the transfer window came to an end, Suarez also ended up changing his mind, and he stayed at Liverpool and he continued doing what he does best, scoring goals. He scored multiple hat-tricks that same season, and he would also become the first player in the Premier League to net a hat-trick of hat-tricks against one team, being Norwich. He also won the Football Supporters Federation Player of the Year, and he became the first player since Fowler to score 20 plus goals in back-to-back seasons for Liverpool. As you might know by now, the high didn't last very long for Suarez, and at the end of the 2014 World Cup, he will be accused of his third biting incident. Uruguay were playing Italy and they needed to win to progress. Late in the second half, it appeared that Suarez actually bit Giorgio Chiellini on the shoulder. A panel found that this was the case and gave Suarez the longest ban in World Cup history, 9 international games and a 4-month ban from all football related activity. With that being said, that didn't stop Barcelona signing Suarez, making him one of the most expensive players in world football at the time, with a bid around £65 million accepted. And few knew at the time, but Barcelona had just bought the final component to what would be one of the most menacing front lines ever seen in football. MSN. The trio consisted of Lionel Messi, Neymar and of course Suarez himself, and he would score a record-breaking 122 goals in Suarez's first season. Suarez himself grabbing 25 goals and 22 assists. The following season saw him hit new heights again for Barcelona, as he was quickly becoming one of the best players in the world. Suarez became the first player in the La Liga history to score 4 goals in back-to-back La Liga games, and only the second player in Barcelona's history to score over 35 in one single season. He finished the season on 40 goals, winning him the European Golden Shoe. During his time at Barcelona, Suarez won 3 Copa del Reys, 3 La Liga titles and a Champions League. And even though Suarez's time at Barcelona came to an end in 2020 after multiple injury and a surgery on his right knee, he was seen as one of the most feared strikers in this decade. And in the summer of 2020, as Suarez left Barcelona, Atletico Madrid were knocking on his door. Suarez signed a 2-year contract with Atletico, and he kept doing what he always did, and that is score goals, being nominated for the Puskas Award in his opening season and helping them win the first La Liga title in 7 years, finishing the season as top scorer with 21 goals. In his second and final season in Spain, Suarez hit double figures for the 10th consecutive season. It was announced that he would be leaving the club, and he received the so well needed send-off he deserved. And instead of going to the MLS like most professionals, Suarez decided to go back to his childhood team at Nacional, helping them win the Uruguayan Championship. And after winning, he became a free agent again just prior to the World Cup, after the structure of the deal was revealed. And while being a free agent, he was selected for the Uruguayan squad at the age of 35, alongside players that he had inspired and paved the way for, like Darwin Núñez. No matter what you think of Suarez, whether it's that too much of his time was spent applying the dark arts, or whether he was just a born winner doing whatever he could to win, Luis Suarez is a man that will always inspire debates, from rags to riches, from drinker to dreams. This has been the story of Luis Alberto Suarez Diaz. YouTube also thinks you like this video on the screen, so you know what, let's just see if they're right or not.